What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We've got a packed show for you today, and we got Mike McClure in the chat, repping himself out, really, because he keeps hitting these donkey parlays. You guys all need to tune in to all of these shows for all of the bets. Speaking of all the bets, let's take a look at how we did yesterday. More green than red here, a lot to count up, but again, more green than red. And we'll take that pretty much every time. I got really unlucky on the Derek Carr over 31.5 pass attempts. I was going for a clean week, a 4-0 week, and he gets injured with 10 minutes left, only needing 4 more pass attempts in 10 minutes of play. So that didn't feel very good. But again, we had a winning day, so we'll pretty much take that every time. And what I'll take right now is the stars of the show, because we've got so much diversity, the portfolio. It's got WNBA, it's got soccer, it's got MLB, it's got Buckets with the awkward look on his face. Buckets, what's going on, man?
I went to the dentist yesterday, so I wanted to show off mine. Smiled at everyone, but apparently it's awkward, so never mind. See, I'll never smile again.
No, it was beautiful. This is the reason you got to watch
his confidence. Yeah, come on
me. This is the reason you got to watch on YouTube. You got to see the beautiful smile. I was setting the stage for something bad, and then I wanted you to lift us up with that smile. So mission accomplished. Kenz, how are you today?
Feeling pretty good. Red October. Everyone in the chat's liking the Phillies, which I like to hear. And we got the W playoffs as well. So great time to be alive in October right now.
That's right. WNBA playoffs. We got a game tonight at 8 o'clock, Kenz, and you got a couple of picks in that game, correct?
Oh, yeah. We got 2.
Right. I've got an NFL pick for Sunday that I really like that I've already put in on SportsLine. If you're not already a member, I'll tell you how to become a member later on. Sniper, we got a couple of games today. One at around 5 o'clock, one right after that. How you feeling about the picks today?
Hopefully better than yesterday. I had a rough day yesterday, but to piggyback on Kenz's point, I actually think that this is the best time of the year for sports. It's tough, but when you've got college football and the NFL both humming along right in the middle of the regular season, the NBA is getting going, NHL is getting going, WNBA playoffs, Major League Baseball playoffs. For me, this is where it's at. And sorry, I don't know enough about soccer, Buckets, to point out what time of the year it is, but I assume it's a good time.
It is actually the worst time for soccer. Today started the international break, so for the next 7 days, we've pretty much got not a lot, Matt, but I appreciate the effort there, Sniper.
Yeah, that's all I could give there.
Something's got to give in October. It would have made way too
much.
much.
That's true. There's only so much you can watch.
I'd like to say that was a good and professional transition from Sniper to our first pick, but I don't know if that's sort of the segue we were looking for, Sniper. Either way, Buckets, you've got a soccer pick for us, and I'm just doing a poor job as a host. I'm just going to you with an awkward smile. I'm going to you when you're having a coughing fit. I'm sure the next time I go to you, something will be going on with Freya. Either way, it is your time. So what's the play on the pitch?
See, my only goal is to survive this show, apparently, because it is off to a rough start. But let's make it even tougher by pronouncing some very difficult to pronounce Turkey teams playing in the Turkey Kupası this afternoon. I'm looking at the matchup between Fethiyesporspor versus Düzcespor at noon Eastern. These are two teams that play in the 3rd and 4th division of Turkish soccer, playing in the Turkish Cup. And I could unironically talk about the Turkish Cup for hours, but I'm not going to do that to all of you because it would be embarrassing to myself and everyone here on the team. All you need to know is that teams that play in the 3rd division and lower have more motivation to win these games than any other club. The bonuses they get from winning these matches and advancing, and the bonuses the players get for scoring a single goal, make it worth it for these teams to say that defense doesn't matter. We are going all out on attack for 90 minutes, no matter what. Take both teams to score at -110 because, frankly, if both teams to score was -250, I still would have given it out in the parlay piece. Yeah, this is a bad line, and it shows me that the books are disrespecting the Turkey Kupası. How could they do that to us, Sia? How?
Well, how could you do this to me? James Valdez says the odds that I pronounce these names correctly are around, I guess, plus money because it's -120 that I pronounce them incorrectly. Are you going to be able to jump in, Buckets, and maybe during the recap screen say those names for me?
I will see it. And unfortunately for everyone, we missed out on betting on Zonguldak Komaspor versus Kırıkkale Başakşehir earlier. So we got the easier of the two games.
Yeah.
Kent gets it.
Yeah, the time zones. Like I always get those confused with
I was gonna do it, but then we couldn't.
Just looking at those spellings is intimidating alone. Yeah.
Buckets, that game was earlier this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we missed it. I would have bet on that one on the show, but we settled for Fethy, yes, and D score.
Wow. Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah, that's a mouthful. All right. We've got a lot more to talk about other than soccer. Obviously, we're going to get to WNBA in a second, NFL, MLB. John Parker says, and by the way, welcome to the show, John Parker. Phillies bats explode today. Well, Sniper, maybe we'll ask you about that later in the show. But if they explode for some home runs, well, how about this really cool home run promo from BetMGM? BetMGM has a way to cash in twice on any home run prop in the playoffs. Place a straight bet of at least $10 on any MLB player to hit a home run, and you will win a share of a daily $50,000 in bonus bets in the BetMGM bullpen jackpot. Here's how to do it. Log into BetMGM and place a straight wager of at least $10 on any player to hit a home run. If that player hits a home run and it lands in the bullpen, you'll win a share of $50,000 in bonus bets. Log into BetMGM for more details. That's a very interesting promo. And the 50,000 part of that is super interesting as well. We got to get to a break and then to more sports and more bets. We'll get to that right after this message.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
We're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. Mackenzie Brooks, I'm going full name here because you're about to report some news that just occurred in the National Football League.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'll report it. We're looking at our Jets coach, Robert, fired. Okay. That's a very interesting move at this time of the season. Correct me if I'm wrong. I will say I did see that Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson have combined for the same amount of touchdowns and points through the first 5 games of their season. So maybe this is a coaching matter, maybe not so much the quarterback.
Yeah, what's interesting is I don't know that the offensive coordinator shouldn't be sort of thrown into this as well. Nathaniel Hackett has a history of maybe being a poor OC, and this offense looks really bad. This is an interesting, like you said, Mackenzie, interesting time to fire Robert Saleh, but I don't necessarily hate the move. It's probably the play given how they've played. I'll say this, Mackenzie, I think you're going to be on the Monday Night Primetime show next week. That's Bills at the New York Jets. The Bills are favored by 2.5 in that. I don't think this is going to affect the line at all, but I just think that's a really interesting game because if you look at the AFC East, as bad as the Jets have been, if they win that game, they're in first place because the Bills are only 3-2 and the Jets are only 2-3. And oh, by the way, the Dolphins, if they actually get their quarterback back, which granted, I think all of us have opinions on whether they should or not, but it does look like Tua is coming back this season. That team's only 2-3 and they have a shot to win the AFC East and therefore make the playoffs. Wide open. Sniper, I want to go to you for some response here. The Jets firing Robert Saleh, good, bad, or indifferent?
I mean, it seems like they've been stuck in neutral for a while. Even like as Mackenzie said, even with between Rodgers being hurt last year and then Rodgers being back this year, it looks just as bad, and it shouldn't look that bad with Rodgers. But he also seems pretty washed up. So maybe sometimes in locker rooms, clubhouses, I just go from the baseball perspective. Sometimes in the middle of the season and the dog days, they just need a shakeup. And it makes them feel better that, hey, we made this change. Now we're ready to go. Maybe something will happen there, but who knows? Rodgers seems washed up, and that might be the biggest problem.
Curious to see where that puts Devontae Adams going to the Jets odds. I mean, better, worse. I mean, it was probably more about Rodgers than it was Saleh anyway. But curious what position that puts him in.
That's interesting because I do think the Jets might be a fit. Listen, if you're going to go all in on Rodgers and you only have maybe just 1 year left with him,
that's the thing. Like, might as well because you're all in.
Yeah,
it's not like you're going to cut Rodgers or change quarterbacks, so you got to try something.
Right,
and maybe calling a shot here, saying he goes to the Jets by tomorrow morning.
I mean, listen, it kind of makes sense. Like I said, if you're going to go all in, you got to make these extreme moves because time is ticking. Mike McClure, again, saying Devontae to the Jets by tomorrow morning, maybe by today. Who knows? Buckets, before we get to some WNBA playoff picks, it looked like you were a little scared when the name Saleh came up. Can you explain your reaction?
Yeah, our wonderful producer put in the chat that Saleh has been fired, and I thought Mohamed Salah from Liverpool, one of the greatest strikers in England, gone during international break, is hilarious, but also terrifying. But I guess this is a different Salah. It's funny because the way you guys look at me when I'm talking about Turkish Cup soccer is the exact look I give all of you when you're talking about what I assume is a big deal in the NFL here with some coaching changes.
That's what I figured. It's
I say I agree with Sniper, agree with Ken's. It's the easiest way to do this.
Yeah.
This man Buckets is 15-2 on interception props. So
I missed two. I missed 2 over the weekend.
So 15-4.
Yeah.
Only 15-4.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right,
yeah,
fair enough. Sorry, everybody. Only just over 75%. All right, Mackenzie Brooks, we got the Sun and Lynx tonight at 8:00. You've got 2 picks. What are they?
I do. We're going to start with the under here. These are 2 of the best defenses in the league. We are 2-2 to the under right now. The past 2 games have gone over. The difference is those games were in Connecticut. Now we are back on the West Coast here. Some travel, maybe some regression. I mean, regression to the mean for these 2 teams is to play better defense and have a low scoring game. And I think in a game 5, everything on the line, that just has underwritten all over it, specifically for these 2 teams as well. And then we're going to go to a player prop here. Nafisa Collier, everyone expecting her to have a huge night. She is the biggest star on this court in a game 5. This is a huge game for them. Obviously, she'll show up big, but over 9.5 rebounds at plus money, something she has gone over in her last 3 games. We're getting at plus money. And I don't think that's a coincidence here. She's clearly showing up big for the playoffs. I don't think she'll stop to show up big for the playoffs. She also eclipsed this number in 2 of the 3 times she played the Sun this season as well. And if you look at her, which is essentially betting the same prop, it's minus 110. So to be able to get the rebounds at 9.5 plus 105 is the much better play here. So I think, again, a lot of ugly basketball tonight, a lot of rebounds, a lot of boxing out. I think she'll be all over the court, play basically the entire game. So I think we can expect her to do everything she's done this entire series and get it at plus 105.
All right, loving the plus number there. Okay, Collier from UConn, if memory serves. All right, let's transition to my pick. You know, I was looking at the pick I have for Sunday, and I was reflecting on the odds I just gave out for the AFC East. I do want to mention my pick is on the Lions -3 against the Cowboys on Sunday afternoon. I do want to mention, in terms of their division, the NFC North, they're plus 175 now to win the division because the Vikings got off to such a hot start. And I don't think the Vikings are like a fake 5-0. This is like a legitimate team for sure. But I do want to mention just the value on the Lions. I do anticipate this defense playing a little bit better. We've got the offensive skill players with Laporta back, fully healthy. Maybe something to consider from a future standpoint. But the future is now for this pick, Lions -3 against the Cowboys. I'm not impressed with what the Cowboys did against the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you're playing Justin Fields and basically Najee Harris and George Pickens, like, I don't really think you have to do much. I thought the Cowboys made plenty of mistakes, correctable mistakes, mind you, but it just wasn't an impressive performance. The Lions, coming off a bye, very much the healthier team, particularly on offense. They've got all the skill players that they're going to need with Montgomery and Gibbs and Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown and other pieces that they have, not to mention Jared Goff, who was 18 for 18 before the bye for almost 300 yards. I just think the Cowboys, with their defensive injuries, they don't have Deron Bland. I don't think Micah Parsons is going to play. They've got issues across the offensive line. And, oh, by the way, Lawrence is going to be out for this game as well. It's too much for the Lions coming off a bye. I really like that the Cowboys actually got a win against the Steelers for this pick. I put this in now because it wouldn't shock me at all. And I understand the Cowboys are at home. I don't think they have a huge home field advantage. It wouldn't surprise me if this away team gets to 3.5 before kickoff. So just like the Jaguars last week when I put it in on a Tuesday, I'm doing this one early in the week as well. Lions -3. All right, let's finally get to some baseball, Sniper. You got to bounce back. Listen, first of all, you've built up a ton of equity this baseball season. You have been killing it overall. So you have an 0 for 2 day here and there. It's not going to kill anybody, but we're trying to go 2-0, a little bit of a bounce back. Where are we headed?
We'll start in Citi Field, where I believe we're going to see some run scoring here. Look, they talked about the shadows a lot in Philadelphia early in the innings, which it's a lot harder for the hitters to see. But last I looked, it's going to be partly or mostly cloudy. Plus, it's about an hour later, starting at 5:08, and we're a little bit further east, which, hey, it does matter with the spinning of the globe there. So the shadows might not be nearly as bad. I like over 4 in the first 5, and it's right at plus 100. Both offenses are humming right now, especially in the second half of that game on Sunday. They're both very powerful up and down the lineup. We saw those home runs, and the Mets have seen Aaron Nola a lot. Is 6 runs in 4 1/3 innings last time they saw him. Sean Manaea, very good down the stretch, but 3 runs allowed in 7 innings in September against the Phillies. It's a quick turnaround. The Phillies just saw him. So I think we're going to see some run scoring here. So again, over 4 in the first 5, something like a 3-2 through 5 innings. That doesn't even feel that high scoring, and that gets us home here. Somebody in the chat asked about Bryce Harper over a half walk. Probably. The only thing is, like, Nick Castellanos had 2 huge hits in that game. Obviously a home run to tie the game, and then the walk-off hit. But I still think that the Mets would rather have Castellanos beat them than Bryce Harper. So it's entirely possible Harper walks maybe multiple times. So I do like that walk prop. Somebody asked about a home run prop. I have your back there. Of course, I'm ready with it. Kyle Schwarber is going to be the home run play today. He's actually better on the road than at home. He's better against lefties than righties, believe it or not. He hit a home run against Sean Manaea to lead off the game last time he saw him. One of the best playoff home run hitters of all time. Seriously. Look at how many at-bats it's taken him to get to 21 career playoff homers. It's unbelievable. Got to go with my fellow IU guy there. Second play for the day is Fernando Tatis Jr. over 1.5 hits plus runs plus RBIs. He looks like he's going nuclear these playoffs. 9 for 14 with 2 doubles, 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, 7 runs so far, and that's in only 4 playoff games. Ridiculous. 8 for 27 in his career against Walker Buehler with 4 home runs, and he hit a home run off Buehler earlier this season when he saw him. Love Fernando Tatis Jr. in that game tonight.
Let me ask you this, Sniper, and then I want to get to some. I'm going to go around the horn to Mackenzie and Buckets to see if there was any questions in the chat that they need to answer. But do you think Walker Buehler goes far in this game? I mean, I'm not like a take the outs under guy. Like, those aren't props that I get into. I know that's more of an AMAGs thing or maybe prop stars. But do you see him going like a full 5 innings here? It seems to me.
Yeah, if he throws well, he'll go 5.
Okay.
If he doesn't, he starts to get knocked around. They're not going to want to fall down 2-1. They'll go to that bullpen. And it is a lot deeper bullpen than it was earlier in the year. And they had the day off yesterday, and they didn't have to use some of their biggest guns in game 2 late in the game when they got blown out. So the Dodgers will probably lean heavily on the bullpen in this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe a Buehler outs prop under might be a play. I think it's in that 14.5 range. I do have to ask a very special someone a question, because we got a lot of people in the chat that are Phillies fans, that are Mets fans, but we have one very important person that actually produces this show that is a fan of one of those teams. So if I could get Jake the Snake out here, if we could just maybe bring him out. I wish we had entrance music, Jake. You're responsible for that. You need your own entrance music.
Yeah, it's a good point. I should get that.
But listen, Jake, you are going to the game tonight, correct?
Correct, I am.
Well, we need your call. This is like kind of a coin flip proposition in terms of the odds. So, Jake, let's include your bias. Who's winning tonight?
As a Mets fan, like at heart, you never feel good going into a playoff game, but -110, got to go with the Mets, man.
-110, got to go with the Mets. I'm kind of thinking Mets first 5. It's not an official play by any means. I'm thinking that's kind of where I'm leaning. But Jake, good luck to your Mets. Have fun at the game tonight. And everybody in the chat, say something nice about. I mean, he literally doesn't get the credit. I say literally, and I actually mean to use that word. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. So Jake MVP, that's good. David Talk, everybody type into the chat Jake MVP, because he actually
Jake's unbelievable. But I still have to say that when he said as a Mets fan, Mets fans are so fatalistic. I was expecting him to say, as a Mets fan, I think the Phillies are going to win.
Yeah, fair enough. I was kind of expecting that as well. But yeah, Jake MVP. Let's put that in the chat. Mike McClure has already put that in the chat. Moshi says, thank you, Jake. All right, let me go around the horn before we get out of here. Buckets, was there anything on the pitch that we need to cover from a question standpoint?
Not on the pitch, but on the diamond, Sia. I want to add an unofficial MLB play here. I'm looking at the matchup between the LA Dodgers and the SD Padres, and I'm taking Jurickson Profar to be walked at +135. Over 0.5 walks. Just kind of going off vibes here.
That's amazing. That's so random. Sniper, your response?
Yeah, I don't know, man. He doesn't walk that much, and he's got Manny Machado behind him. Tatis in front of him might be on base. I don't know. We can showdown on that if you want.
Oh, let's do it. Absolutely.
Are you serious?
Jake,
Okay.
play the music. Let's do it.
I mean, Bucket's just throwing his money around, showing off at this point. This is going to hit, and he's going to walk twice. You know how I know that? Because Buckets has the almanac. Go ahead, Buckets.
Does getting hit by a pitch count as a walk?
No, it's not.
Oh.
He could actually get hit by a pitch. The way these two teams are.
My game plan was he's the guy that pissed off the Dodgers by pretending he missed it, right? And then was like, I think they're going to throw it at him. So I thought he was going to get hit.
Yeah.
Well,
I suppose they could try 4 times in a row and miss every time.
Yeah, he just has to be quick enough to kind of do that Danny Brasco there. All right, we'll stick with it. Keep the show down.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the podcast if that's what you're doing. And thanks for reviewing the podcast and hitting 5 stars and all those things. But if you're not watching us on YouTube from time to time, you're missing all the antics from Buckets. Mackenzie, anything with the WNBA that you need to comment on?
I saw a few questions. One being, do we like the first half under? I do not. I think it's typically the third quarter or the fourth quarter where the Lynx just decide they don't know how to score the basketball. So I would stick to the full game under just because it's later in the game where these teams get pretty tired. Other question about few player props, Alyssa Thomas over 8.5 assists. I like the under. I just think this is a low scoring game. She's only 2-2 to this. Even in those high scoring games we're coming off of, she only had 7 assists in one of them. So we'll just stay away from props like that today. And then I saw one more about McBride over 8.5 points. I do like that. Only had 5 points last game, but went over that in every other game this series. So it seems like they're overreacting by bringing this line down just a little too much for me.
All right. And Sniper, are we good? Any questions you need to address?
Somebody mentioned Tatis over 1.5 total bases, which I like that as well, in addition to the one that I played.
Okay. That's Ramo. Thanks for the question. All right, let's go to the recap screen. Buckets, who apparently is a legend, according to Mark M. That's absolutely true. You're going to be helping me out with this recap screen. I'm on the Lions on Sunday, -3 at -115. Mackenzie Brooks, Sun, Lynx, under 152.5 at -115. And Nafisa Collier, over 9.5 rebounds at +105. Buckets, where are we going?
Fethiespor and Duzispor, both teams to score in the Turkish Cup, starting at noon Eastern. See ya.
That's at -110. That was perfect pronunciation. I think. Sniper, Phillies, Mets, first 5 over 4 at even money, and Fernando Tatis Jr. over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at -150. Ladies and gentlemen, we got baseball today. We got WNBA today. We got actually football tonight, college football. And if you're a member of SportsLine, maybe, I don't know if we have any picks on that exact game, but we're going to have Tuesday and Wednesday games pretty much the rest of the way over the next 2 months. So hopefully you'll see more picks on this show and on SportsLine for these Tuesday and Wednesday night college football matchups. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be our show. Thanks for joining us today, everybody in the chat. A big special thanks to Jake the Snake. Good luck to him and his Mets as he will be at the game tonight. But as for us, we are out of here. On behalf of Buckets, on behalf of the Sniper, Mackenzie Brooks, and of course, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.